Welcome to PlotLines, where I'll use my years of experience in real estate communications to uncover the real stories behind real estate. I'm Britni Ackrivo. Join me as I invite guests to break down the headlines in the real estate market. All right, welcome back to PlotLines. Today I'm joined by Tim Street, the founder and CEO of FoolProof FSBO. Tim, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, Brittany, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm
Yeah.
really excited to talk to you.
Yeah, me too. Like we were just saying, the housing market has no shortage of conversation and headlines. So I think we have a lot to talk about today.
Certainly, certainly.
All right. Well, why don't we jump right in? Tell me a little bit about yourself, how you founded the company. I'm curious to hear a little bit about your journey.
So I started off life in Detroit, Michigan, and college was definitely not in the cards for me back then. I was too much of a goofball anyway, so I find myself going right into the Marines out of high school, and it really set me down a great path. For the first time in my life, I just kind of felt like unstoppable. Anything I did, and it naturally brought me into entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I went in. I became a real estate investor, and a giant hurdle to me investing in real estate I found was not necessarily that I couldn't find deals. It was that when I had to rely on real estate agents that I didn't really have a relationship with, I
Hmm.
found myself very underwhelmed, to say the least, about their performance. And so I went out
Okay.
and got my real estate
Interesting.
license, and so bought my own properties, invested in that in a while, and then I started helping people sell, and was very successful at that because I was kind of bringing my mentality from my previous life where I was founding startup companies in tech and telecom and fintech, and I
Hmm.
just had this natural ability to really get deals done, which was cool. And it turns out I could teach it, which is what I now do. I got tired of just doing
Okay.
deals, and now I just kind of give my system away.
Yeah. Okay. Really interesting. Didn't realize that you had your license, so that makes the whole narrative here even more interesting about what you founded. Well, you mentioned already so that you sort of had some potentially bad experiences with realtors in the past, but were there other moments that made you realize that a platform like this was needed? I know there's been so many changes in. Um, the housing market and the realtor rules and all of these different things. Did any of that play into sort of your decision to found this company?
In a way, and I could the way this company was founded was it's actually kind of embarrassing because it's a testament to my failability as a good human being. If I
Okay.
so
No, this is a judgment-free podcast, so
well,
all good.
I'll lay the story out on you then, and then anybody who
All
wants to throw
right.
stones at me, come find me, I guess. Uh,
I'm sure I will.
so, just to back it up a bit, I like to establish that I have such an amazing life. I've been so blessed. I have an amazing wife, amazing family. I just never imagined growing up, some dork in Detroit would ever have this amazing. I couldn't have written this story any better if I tried. So,
Yeah.
I say all that to let people know how blessed I am. And so my last listing appointment I ever took when I was helping people sell homes, I encountered a situation that I was already very familiar with. There's a problem in this industry where a lot of real estate agents will go on a listing appointment to somebody who wants to sell their home, and they will tell them things that they know aren't true, or they will establish goals that they know they can't hit. For example, if the house is maybe worth 300,000, somebody could come in there and say, well, I'll get you $400,000 for it because I have
Yeah. Yeah.
50,000 followers on my social media, and I take great drone videos. All of this is complete
Yeah.
nonsense, right? But
Okay.
of course, people who are in that position who need to get every penny of equity out of their home, they're going to tend to believe it. It's a nice story to
Yeah, of
tell.
course.
And
Of course.
so I left an appointment like that where I knew I was not going to win the listing because somebody ahead of me had bought the listing. It's what they call it buying the listing. And
Okay.
I was driving home, and this is the embarrassing part, Brittany, is I had a kind of internal conversation, and I said, listen, if all it takes to be successful in this space is to lie to people and screw them over, I could do that. I could do that better than anybody. I'm a great BS artist if I have to be. You should have seen me when I was 16 trying to get the car keys from my dad. So I grew up that way. And it made me it actually made me physically like ill. When I
Oh,
realized what I had just said to myself, because I lost 6 of my good friends in the Marine Corps, and I know I'm going to see them again one day. I do believe that I'm going to have to answer and hold myself to account one day for all the things I did.
yeah.
I am somebody that my little girls look up to. I am
Yeah.
somebody that my wife hopes, I hope she thinks I'm a good person. And I was seriously about to throw all of that away for a stupid commission check.
Just to win a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided I'm done. I realized I
Mm.
was too weak as a human being to be tempted with that kind of a question, and I walked away. I said, "Forget it." And the only way I could save myself from even heading down that path now is just to give everything away, and that is kind of what got me here today.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's really interesting, and I'm sure we'll circle back to some of that when we talk more about, the platform, but the podcast is all about breaking down headlines in the real
Mhm.
estate space, as you know. So, again, no shortage of conversation about the housing market, as you know. Still discussion around the nationwide shortage, sellers even potentially getting desperate,
Mhm.
as well as buyers, of course, with the affordability issues that still exist. Um, this demand for more transparent, self directed real estate, we see a lot of that in headlines as well. But what's your take? Tell me sort of your view on the housing market, generally speaking, as we are now, into 2026. Everyone always likes to hear like who has the upper hand. Is it still the seller? Are buyers, gaining some more power here in the new year? Just lay it all out for me. What's on your mind?
It's such a gosh, it's such a big question. So let me try to break
I
down.
know. Loaded question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay though. That's those are fun to talk about. There's a lot of different
Yeah.
angles we could take. One of the things I'll see people online, influencers and people who are thought leaders in the community, and they like to find a boogeyman to blame. So they like to blame private equity, which of course is a
Oh,
problem.
everybody does.
They love
Yep.
to blame people who own Airbnbs. They love to
Yep.
blame REITs and institutional money going into neighborhoods.
Yep.
In all, I'm not saying any of that's wrong, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that's kind of like being on the Titanic and worrying about an overflowing toilet when you're heading for an iceberg. And the iceberg in
Yeah.
this case is the government meddling in the private industry and the private housing market. What's happening today was predicted. It could have been predicted. All of this happens because 10 years ago, when you see the government do something, you know that that's going to have repercussions. The 800-pound gorilla in all of these relationships is the federal government. They control so much money, they control so much influence. So,
Yep.
and bringing it down from the macro to the micro, so from federal to municipal, if you've ever talked to any real estate developers, in order to create housing, what do we have to do? Well, we have to buy land, and then we have to develop that land, and we have to put in infrastructure, in sewer and electric, and all that stuff. It takes 10 years now in most municipalities to even go from buying the land to building your first home. So
Yep.
the developers have just kind of been like, okay, forget it. So sure, should we call the developers the boogeyman? I guess, but are you willing to work your butt off for 10 years and not get anything for it? I can't afford to
Yeah.
do that. I have four
Yeah. Yep.
girls and they eat like I do. So I mean, they're
Yeah.
all
Yeah. Yeah.
athletes. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
it's tough. There's a supply issue, of course, but the supply issue, I believe, is self-inflicted. And if we could just get out of
Okay.
the way of people, cut a lot of the red tape and the bureaucracy, I think this problem kind of solves itself.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people just point towards affordability, but to your
Yes.
point, when it takes 10 years to get something over the finish line, and then you need some returns off of all of that, I mean, affordability isn't always so easy to put at the top of the list either,
No,
you know?
please, I mean, my gosh, I will never say that affordability doesn't matter. It matters more than anything. I mean,
Yeah,
our dollar, I mean, over in the past 5 years, like it took us something like 30 years to devalue our currency through inflation and government spending to the point where it is today. And it only took like 3 years. I mean, it's nuts what we've done to ourselves. And
I know.
it's so
Yeah,
sad.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, so with that, what I've been hearing from some other guests and other real estate contacts is that the reality is, right? So last year, the conversation was like, well, let's wait. Let's see if rates go down, all of these things. I mean, what I'm hearing now is that we can't just keep waiting for the market to correct itself. Buyers also need to get out there and start buying. I mean, what's sort of your viewpoint and take on that?
Well, so you have a couple of things working against you there.
Yeah, yeah.
One is you have somebody like me. I have a 30-year mortgage right now, and I think I got it as like
Mhm.
2.75%. I'm ne
Oh, I did too, right? But yeah, right in 2020.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Brittany, you and I are it's what they call rate locked. And unless there's
Yep.
a huge forcing function getting me to move, I'm not going anywhere. I mean, they're gonna carry me out of
Yeah.
this house in a pine box. I'm never leaving, right? So,
Right?
that's the issue there is a lot of the inventory right now is it's too ex even if I wanted to move, I would find my payment.
It's stuck. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my payment would be the same thing if I moved into a house half this size for half this money
Yeah.
because the interest rate
Yeah.
eats it up. So,
Mhm.
a lot of inventory isn't out there because we're rate locked, and, uh, but I also wanna remind people that usually when somebody's moving, like, let's pretend for a second, Brittany, if it was 0% interest rates right now, I could wave a magic wand to you only, would you leave your house? Would you move? I mean, I know
I don't know.
I I
Yeah.
I wouldn't because I know
Yeah.
even if like, I don't make decisions on whether to move or not based on what the interest rate is.
Sure.
That's icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
move, something beautiful has happened. I got married, we had another baby, I
Right.
got
There's
a
a life
job
change. Yeah.
yeah, or something
Yep.
bad, unfortunately, you
Mm.
get divorced or there's a death, something.
Sure.
But
Sure.
there's
Yeah.
something outside of your control. People don't rarely do people move for convenience, and so what
Yeah.
I like to do is put myself through the thought experiment. If interest rates were 0, would I move? Heck no. I love where I live. I love my house. I've made it mine. I'm not going anywhere. So, by reducing interest rates, sure, would it necessarily help some people get into a home that are currently renting and things like that? Yes, absolutely. But people are still going to move anyway. People still need to move, and
Yeah.
so I think, like, to your point, what you were saying earlier, the smart way to attack this is to look at, number 1, availability. Is there inventory for people to move into? And as
Yeah.
long as we have that red tape, no. And affordability. As long as we keep spending ourselves and inflating our dollar into oblivion, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So switching a little bit more to the seller side, right? Again, there's sort of this narrative. We need realtors. It's more risky if we do this on our own.
Mhm.
But right, that brings us to you and what you've created. So tell me a little bit about it and why you believe in the for sale by owner model.
So real estate agents are invaluable in certain circumstances, and so
Yeah.
there are people out there who, if they attempted to sell on their own, uh, I would uh,
Mm.
I would tell them for. I mean, you don't watch YouTube videos and decide to do your own knee surgery
Yeah.
or
Right.
pull your
Yeah.
own or do your own root canal. Like there are certain times where
Yeah. Yeah.
professionals needed. So what I tell people,
Sure.
if you're looking to sell your home and it's because of a divorce or it's in probate as a
Hmm.
result of the death, maybe it's pre-foreclosure, if there's any kind of legal encumbrances, find a real estate agent and laugh all the way to the bank because they're going to go through legal hell to try to get that house sold for you. They are going to earn
Sure.
every
Yeah. Too
penny.
many nuances to
Oh,
navigate on your
forget
own.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I think about the ideal person who should maybe explore doing this on their own, I think of people
Yep.
who enjoy DIY projects, people who enjoy learning new things. I think of my parents actually. My parents
Mm.
are retired, so they've got nothing but time on their hands. My dad is such a cool guy. He still cuts his own grass. He's in his 70s. He's a bigger man than I
Love
am. I
it.
hire a lawn guy. I'm a wimp. So like my dad is awesome. And my mom like makes
Love
these
that.
beautiful paintings. Like, I mean, they are so creative and so smart. And so when I think of people like that, there's no reason
Okay.
that they should be giving away all that equity. And besides, they're on a
Yeah.
fixed income. It matters more to them, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Same as investors, like other investors like me. What's neat about being an investor is that dollar that you take today, we use a lot of leverage. So if I save $1 or $100, whatever, in a transaction, you multiply that by 100, and that's your buying power into your next project. So
Yeah.
it means a lot. So there are a number of reasons not to use a real estate agent. There's a number of reasons to use a real estate agent. And the best way to
Yeah.
find out is just to find somebody who's going to give you an honest opinion and look at all your
Yeah.
circumstances. And that's what we try to do for people.
Yeah, makes sense. I think I even saw on your website, like another good example is if you have already identified a potential buyer, right? Just sort of cut through the process. I mean, is that happening more that people are sort of matchmaking, if you will, on the buy and sell on their own?
It is, and the reason is
Yeah.
because, for the longest time, myself as a real estate agent, our industry, we were kind of gatekeepers. We had the front door to
Yeah.
the MLS. Well, now
Yep.
the MLS is syndicated on a number of different public
Yep.
websites, Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, you name it. So
Yeah.
when I almost always represented sellers, but anytime I'd represent a buyer, very rarely was I telling them, "Hey, I just found this awesome house that we should go check out." It happen, but like 9 out of 10 times they were saying, "Hey, Tim, we found an awesome house. We wanna go check out."
Yeah, because they're glued. Yeah, they're glued to it, right? They're
Yes.
anxious. They're looking for every little thing they can find. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so a lot of times if now in an environment where you're putting the asset out there and you're putting your house on
Mhm.
Zillow or your own dedicated property website, you're putting it on
Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and you're letting the people come directly to you, my gosh, you're saving thousands and thousands of dollars doing it that way because you don't have to pay for a buyer's agent.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. So, what are some of the like most common mistakes that you're seeing, common, costly, whatever, sellers making?
The biggest mistake is pricing. So, a lot of people think that
Yeah.
pricing is, a kind of a standalone metric. What I like to explain to people is pricing is your biggest and most apparent marketing tool you have. People have to start thinking about pricing as marketing. We've been trained by Amazon to comparison shop. That's all we do, okay? And so when somebody's looking for a four-bedroom, three-bath home that's 2,000 square feet, that's what they're going the first thing that they're going to compare is price. How much is this
Yeah.
house? How much is that one? How much is that one? They don't care that
Hmm.
your Uncle Larry came over and hand built your back deck for you. They don't care that your kids took the
Right.
first step and fell off the tire swing in the backyard. That's
Yeah. They're
meaningless
trying
to
to
them.
save a couple dollars. Yeah.
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 All they care about, what am I going to be able to buy? What is the best bang for my
Yeah.
buck today more than ever? And so
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
pricing yourself above the homes you're competing with, you either better have a darn good reason, like, you have an indoor swimming pool made of solid gold, that
Yeah.
you're asking for more, or you're just not gonna get any attention.
Okay. So then what is sort of your way to what is that approach then for pricing for everybody wants a bidding war, right? So what does
Yes.
that look like?
I teach strategic underpricing, and so what I will do is
Okay.
is I teach my students how to actually evaluate the market. We look at active listings because that's what you're actively competing against. I look at
Mhm.
pending because your pending listings tell you what is being actively put under contract, and then I look at sold to get a feeling for what are people actually writing the check for. Because here's one of the it's a bitter pill, but we all have to swallow it when we're selling a home. As a homeowner, I don't get to decide what my house sells for. My agent
Mm.
doesn't get to decide what my house for. The buyer agent does. The only person who gets to decide what your home is worth is the person writing the check for it. And so once we come to grips with all that the market doesn't care what we need for the house. It doesn't care what we want for the house. It only knows what you're going to get for the house. Once
Mhm.
we get past that initial kind of, because that's a big psychological hit that some people have to take. Once we get past that, then we can start rationally looking at prices. So I recommend that people underprice strategically. Now,
Okay.
not like by half. Don't make your house look like it's a crime scene, okay? But
Well, you wanna get the right buyers through the
yeah,
door. So, yeah,
it
yeah.
this is a great way to spike urgency, scarcity, social proof,
Mhm.
all these great things that you learn about in marketing. And so
Mhm.
if I have a house that's worth $500,000, my neighbor's selling for 505, the other neighbor's selling for 510, and I hit the market at 475, guess where everybody's going? And open house weekend, I want it to be a zoo. I want people fighting over
Yeah.
spots to park
Yeah.
in. Yeah, it's great. So
Yeah,
by
exactly.
spiking that, by making everybody else see that everybody else wants this asset, that's how you get bidding wars, and that's how you get bid well north of 475 up into the 525 era, where those guys who are listed at 510 are never going to see because they're priced too high.
Okay. All right. Good advice. All right, Tim. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground really quickly, but is there anything else? I'm sure there is that you're watching closely in the housing market this year. I mean, we know the administration's been throwing out all sorts of ideas and different strategies of their own. What else are you monitoring for closely?
One of the things I love about, I mean, there's a lot, sure, there's a lot of things,
Yeah.
today that happen that I kind of lament for the old days, but there's a lot one of the things I love the most about today is the gatekeepers of information have all kind of just they've dissolved. When I was growing up, people watched 60 Minutes to get their news. And when my
Uh-huh.
parents were growing up, right, they listened to Walter Cronkite, and if he said it, it was true. And for better or worse, we've seen a lot of those people, that were authority and thought leaders, in our
Sure.
eyes fall into disgrace because they've been outright blatantly shown to be lying or saying something that was
Yeah.
just wasn't true. So what I love
Okay.
about today's consumer is they don't go for BS. They don't go for feel good stories. They actually want to know the truth. And when they
Mhm.
hear somebody out there telling them something that just sounds like window dressing, for example, the 50-year mortgage. I
Mhm.
was so afraid. I was so afraid when I saw the 50-year mortgage even be talked about that people were going to be interested in it. And it made my heart sing when everybody was like, "Are you kidding? You want to turn me into a 50-year slave to the bank? Are you
Yep.
nuts?"
Yep.
I loved it. I was like, "Thank God." And it just made me feel so good because people are finally starting to pay attention to the second and third
Yeah.
order consequences of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. So that's what I keep an eye on. I love when
Mhm.
I see people who would have necessarily been just cowed by the shiny object in the past. They're starting to wake up, and that makes me
Yeah.
so happy.
Yeah, yeah, to be for us all to be more informed, right? And we have
Yes.
access to so many resources now that it'd be silly not to, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show, which is where I give you the opportunity to write your own headline. What would you like to see out there about the housing market or FSBO? The floor is yours for whatever you would like to see in the news.
Well, thank you so much. So the biggest
Yeah.
story I would like to tell is,
Yeah.
as a real estate agent, my industry, we've contributed billions and billions and billions of dollars over the years to propagate this idea that selling your home is going to put you in legal jeopardy, and that you're just not smart enough to know how to negotiate, or maybe you just
Huh.
don't know all the rules, or you just don't know how to do this. And my response to all that is, it's just simply not true. I would
Yep.
love to see a headline that says, despite billions of dollars in propaganda, homeowners realize they are the subject matter on their expert on their homes. They're the
Hmm.
best authority out there to sell their homes. I mean, let me ask you, Brittany, who would know your home better? You who've gone to sleep in your home, you've woken up in your home, you've cooked meals in your home, you've watched the sunrise, maybe 4th of July fireworks from the
Yeah.
backyard.
Maybe my 5-year-old who actually runs the home, right, and I just live there, but yeah, yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, there you perfect. I don't know, the stair landing that always catches your 5-year-old off guard, that you gotta be standing ready to catch
Yeah,
them.
yeah, right?
You know your home so much better
Yeah,
than
fair enough.
anybody else. So why shouldn't you be leading the effort? And what I tell people all the time is, if even if it turns out that you don't have the time to sell your home, maybe you don't have the
Yeah.
temperament. If I come to your house and you're and I say, "Boy, I can't wait to tear these cabinets out," and you fall to tears because you're like, "My uncle made these cabinets," we can't
Right.
have that. There are still times to work with a real estate pro, and I'll introduce you to my network. I've already
Yeah,
pre-negotiated reduced commissions for anybody who comes through me. So even if you had to
very
use an
cool.
agent, I'm still going to save you tens of thousands of dollars by picking the right agent.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yes, I can't wait to empower homeowners again. I want you to
Yeah.
realize that you are the authority figure when it comes to your home, and there's nobody who's going to care about this more than you do.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tim, is there anything we didn't cover today that you think the listeners should know?
The only thing I would love to invite them to do is, in the
Yeah.
beginning, I talked about your temperament, making sure that you
Yeah.
have the right temperament here. So I actually put together a quiz on my website. I'd
Awesome.
love to share it with everybody. Um,
Please do.
my website is FoolProof FSBO, because I tried to make the whole scenario so foolproof that anybody could do this. So it's FoolProof FSBO, which stands for for sale by owner,
Yep.
foolproofisbo.com/quiz. If you go there, it's a 2-minute, 7-question quiz, and we're just going to dig right in and let you know, hey, you are an optimal candidate to sell on your own, or you probably shouldn't, but we've still got you covered with our agent network. And the other thing is, I put together an ebook. I'll give it away to your audience. It's our 7-day
Awesome.
launch plan. It teaches everybody how to go from zero to fully listed in 7 days. Same address, foolproofisbo.com, but this time go to /ebook, and you can download it right from there.
I love that. Those sound like great resources. Thanks for sharing them.
My sincere pleasure. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you having me on. I'm a big fan. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, Tim.
This podcast is a production of Gregory. If you enjoyed our discussion, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts